A hidden family secret buried in plain sight for 4 seasons. A conversation between sisters that changes everything. One small detail that could rewrite the entire Bluey family tree. What if I told you that Bingo might not be who you think she is? The evidence has been staring at us this whole time, and Season 4 could finally reveal the shocking truth that will leave every Bluey fan questioning everything they thought they knew about the Healer family. The sisters' suspicious conversation. Let's start with the moment that launched 1,000 theories. In the episode Onesies, when we finally meet Chili's sister Brandy after years of absence, something incredibly strange happens during their first family reunion. Brandy immediately points out how much Bluey looks like Bandit, a completely normal observation that any aunt would make, but then something weird occurs. When Bingo naturally asks who she looks like, expecting to hear that she resembles her mother, Chili, Brandy hesitates. The pause is uncomfortable, almost painful to watch. Then Chili quickly jumps in and says that Bingo looks like Brandy. The tension in the room becomes palpable. Brandy looks visibly uncomfortable and immediately changes the subject to show off the onesies she brought. Here's what's shocking about this exchange. Why wouldn't Chili say that Bingo looks like her? It would be the most natural response for any mother. Instead, she specifically compares her daughter to her sister, creating an awkward moment that Brandy desperately wants to escape. This brief conversation has fueled one of the most compelling theories in Bluey history, that Bingo might actually be Brandy's biological daughter. Brandy's 4-year disappearance mystery. The timeline of Brandy's absence tells a story that's both heartbreaking and suspicious. Brandy stayed away from the Healer family for exactly 4 years, meaning the last time she saw them, Bluey was 3 and Bingo was just 1 year old. That's not a coincidence when you consider child development research. Scientific studies show that most emotional memories before age 3 remain dormant as we grow older. In other words, if Brandy was indeed Bingo's biological mother and had to give her up when she was very young, waiting 4 years would ensure that Bingo wouldn't remember her as anything other than Aunt Brandy. During this time, Brandy was dealing with her own fertility struggles, which we learn about in the episode. But here's the twisted possibility. What if Brandy's current inability to have children isn't because she never could, but because she already had one, Bingo, and later developed complications that prevented future pregnancies? The theory suggests that Brandy might have faced the same illness that took their mother's life, possibly uterine cancer. In such cases, surgery often requires complete removal of the uterus to prevent cancer spread, saving the patient's life but ending any possibility of future pregnancies. The Floppy connection. Bingo's relationship with her beloved rabbit toy Floppy reveals layers of meaning that most viewers miss. In the episode Sleepy Time, we witness Bingo's subconscious journey where she and Floppy are born simultaneously. Bingo emerges from Earth like an egg, while Floppy comes from the moon. This dreamscape suggests they entered Bingo's world together from somewhere else. The most telling detail? In every baby photo of Bingo we see in the Healer house, Floppy is already present. This isn't typical for most children's toys, which are usually gifts received after birth. But if Brandy was Bingo's birth mother, Floppy could represent the one tangible connection she was allowed to maintain with her daughter. Consider this. We never see Floppy associated with Bluey as a baby, despite it being common for toys to be passed down between siblings. And while we might expect Chili to give a sentimental toy from her own childhood to her first daughter, Floppy specifically belongs to Bingo from day one. The Sleepy Time episode becomes even more significant when we realize it shows Bingo finally separating from Floppy, symbolically letting go of her earliest memories and connections to her possible birth mother, Chili's pregnancy loss revelation. One of the most emotionally devastating moments in Bluey occurs during the show episode, where a blue balloon representing pregnancy suddenly pops during Bluey and Bingo's play. Both Chili and Bandit's immediate visceral reactions reveal a shared trauma, the loss of a pregnancy. This scene suggests that Chili experienced a miscarriage, which would explain several things about the family dynamic. If Chili struggled with pregnancy loss and Brandy found herself unexpectedly pregnant but unable to care for a child, the sisters might have made an impossible decision together. Imagine the scenario: Chili, desperate to be a mother after losing a baby, and Brandy, unable to provide the stable home a child needs, are arranging for Bingo to be raised by the healers. This would explain why both sisters seem emotionally invested in Bingo's well-being and why Brandy's absence was so prolonged and painful. The adoption theory becomes even more plausible when you consider that Chili went on to have Bluey naturally after this arrangement, making Bingo the older sister she always wanted, just not in the way anyone expected. Physical evidence hidden in plain sight. The physical similarities between Brandy and Bingo are striking and go far beyond typical aunt-niece resemblance. Both share the distinctive red healer coloring, but more importantly, they share specific markings that don't match either Chili or Bandit exactly. When you examine the facial markings of the healer family, neither parent has the exact pattern that both Bluey and Bingo display. Both daughters have dark markings split by a light stripe down the middle of their faces, a pattern that's distinctly different from their parents' markings. Brandy shares the same fluffy coat texture that Bingo develops as she grows older, seen in the flash-forward graduation scene. This physical trait is completely different from Chili's smooth coat. The resemblance is so strong that even Chili herself points it out, creating that uncomfortable moment that launched this entire theory. But here's what's even more telling. We see this pattern throughout the extended healer family. Uncle Radley, Bandit's older brother, doesn't match his parents' blue healer coloring either. He's a mix of red and blue healer, suggesting that blended families and complex parentage might be more common in this universe than we initially realized. Behavioral patterns. The emotional connection between Brandy and Bingo during their limited screen time together is profound and unusual. When Bingo playfully attacks Brandy during their first meeting, Brandy's reaction isn't just about her fertility struggles, it's the response of someone with a deep personal connection to this specific child. Brandy's introverted, gentle nature mirrors Bingo's personality perfectly. Both are quiet, thoughtful, and sensitive souls who wear their hearts on their sleeves. This isn't just family resemblance, it's the kind of temperamental similarity we see between biological parent and child. The theory suggests that Brandy sees herself in Bingo and experiences a complex mix of pride, loss, and maternal instinct that goes beyond typical aunt feelings. When Bingo runs away from her during their play, Brandy's expression isn't just sadness about not having children, it's the look of a mother watching her daughter, knowing she can't claim that relationship. Healer family's preference pattern. One of the most disturbing pieces of evidence comes from observing how Bandit and Chili interact with their daughters. In the episode Mini Bluey, when the sisters play a game where Bingo paints herself blue to pretend to be a smaller Bluey, their parents show little enthusiasm. But when they switch roles and Bluey acts like Bingo, Bandit, and Chili's demeanor completely changes, they become visibly happier and more engaged. Bluey even comments on this, saying, "They want two of you and none of me," which is a heartbreaking observation from a child. This behavioral pattern suggests that Bingo might have been a specifically chosen child, someone the healers actively wanted and planned for, while Bluey might have been the unplanned miracle baby who came later. If Bingo was adopted through an arrangement with Brandy, it would explain why the parents seem particularly protective and appreciative of her presence in their lives. The counter evidence. Despite all this compelling evidence, there are significant arguments against the Bingo adoption theory that we can't ignore. When viewed from behind, Bingo has markings that clearly match Bandit's pattern, while Bluey's markings more closely resemble Chili's. This suggests biological parentage that contradicts the adoption theory. More importantly, there is no narrative reason to keep such information secret from Bingo herself. In a show that celebrates honesty, communication, and diverse family structures, hiding an adoption would contradict the series' core values. Bingo clearly knows exactly who her parents are and has never shown any confusion about her place in the family. The resemblance between Brandy and Bingo, while striking, could simply be normal family genetics. Aunts and nieces often share physical traits, and Brandy's emotional reaction to seeing Bingo could be entirely explained by her fertility struggles rather than secret maternal connections. Additionally, Chili's parenting behavior shows no signs of someone raising an adopted child differently from a biological one. Her relationship with Bingo is natural, instinctive, and completely consistent with biological motherhood. The flash-forward graduation scene shows adult Bingo with markings that clearly develop to match her parents, particularly the yellow belly fur that mirrors Bandit's coloring. This physical development over time suggests biological rather than adoptive parentage support each other through difficult times, and that's a truth more powerful than any secret could ever be. What do you think about this theory? Could Season 4 really reveal hidden family secrets, or does the evidence point to something even more beautiful? Share your thoughts in the comments below with #BingoTheory. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden details that make Bluey such an extraordinary show.